Hello. Welcome to another episode of Couch Coaches. I'm John Lazaron, and I'm here joined by my co-host, Richard, the bandwagon conductor, Laddie. And we have a special guest with us today, Zane, the Warriorholic. How's it going, mate?
Very good, boys. Thanks. Very good, boys. Thanks for having me on. We used to be the one on the other end of it. Get my timing on.
No, we really appreciate it to have you on and, get your thoughts on what's been a big last last month for the Warriors, actually, but especially of the last 48 hours have been with the game and also what's with the lineup coming up for this week's game for Magic Round. It's a bit of a revamped lineup, but look, let's just get into the game first, because I think that's where we need to go, because that's what's on our minds right now. The game against the Roosters. I mean, to be honest, myself, Richard, we thought that it was going to be a bit of a hammering 13-plus game, and they did do well to claw themselves back from, 14. What was it? 14 after 14 minutes, they were 22-0 down, something along those lines. But what I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on the game, and where are the Warriors getting it wrong at the moment?
I mean, I thought Webby said it well in the post-match conference. It's just confidence. If you watch how the Roosters played in that first 15 minutes, you just have those days where you can't miss. I've had it once on the golf course in my life, I had a 69 and it's just I couldn't miss, and when you're in that zone, you feel confident. You can try anything and it comes off. But I think the Warriors, it probably started on the back of that Melbourne, last second turnaround loss, and they started to question it. And we haven't had that comeback win yet, like we had against the Sharks last year, where it kind of gave them the confidence. So I think 90% of it is that, and the other part of it is fatigue. When you lose so much experience on your bench, and you're playing your starting forwards, particularly huge minutes, it's going to eventually get you. And unfortunately, it's caught up.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Richard? What are your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I mean, what was it? 15 minutes, 22-0 down, and it was I think we did win the final 65 minutes, I think, and I've seen a few people talking that up. We've got like a little punters group with the lads, and I sort of jokingly said, "Oh, we should probably back the Roosters 50 plus at this point," when we were probably 16-0 down, because I just thought it would just look like it was one of those games, like we were just dropping the ball defensively. We were lagging. We just looked so tired. And yeah, as you said, Zane, the Roosters, they were just throwing it around. Gosh, that Dom Young, when he's on, he's a bit hit and miss. But when he's on, there's fewer players that you want to have sort of running against you. I thought the short drop off to the 2-meter winger was a bold strategy. Didn't quite pay off. But yeah, kudos to them for sort of coming back. And you look at the stats, and they actually didn't look as horrible as they might have at one point, but gosh, there were some tired-looking bodies out there, and it's not going to get any easier this week for sure. With Penrith with a pretty weird team with fielding this week as well.
Yeah. Well, for sure. I mean, like when I was watching the game at the time, I was writing a few notes down at the time, and in that first 15 minutes, we already had 16 missed tackles. We had no ball. The position was all with the Roosters, which showed. But what was annoying for me is that when they had a position, they did something with it. And we weren't able to cut them down. I don't know. There's some little bits and pieces that really annoy me. And there's, for example, the Melbourne Storm do it really well. Is when the opposition team holds the player down for too long. And and then it gives them a chance to get back on their line and to get ready defensively. Whereas I don't know what you think about this, but the Warriors they tackle and they get off too quickly, and they let and then they give the opposition a chance to run them ragged. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Because that's what I was seeing in the game on the weekend. What do you reckon? What are your thoughts on that, Zane?
I think it's one of those things that a lot of people have a conspiracy that everyone's against the Warriors, the match officials, but we saw it last year. We started to get a lot of the calls going towards us, and I think they have an unconscious bias towards the dominant team.
Yep.
And the thing that surprised me the most in this game is the impression you got is the Roosters killed us with speed and the speed of the player of the ball.
Yep.
We had a faster player of the ball than them. They were 3.69 seconds. We were 3.43, which is as fast as maybe the max you're going to get is around 3.2. So it appears that way, but it's the penalties, that have killed us in the past couple of weeks. And it often comes from that just holding down from a fraction long, which isn't long, but the refs just always like to seem to give it to the less dominant or penalise the less dominant team first. Then we give away that piggyback. So we only gave away 3 penalties, I think, this week, which meant that was something they were obviously working on, is not giving away piggyback penalties. But as you said, we were getting them falling on their feet or standing and playing the ball, which just means we don't get our markers back, and that's where we got carved up a couple of times. It's definitely something we struggle against the likes of the Roosters, the Panthers, the Broncos, with their really high impact fast forwards, how you control them without getting penalised.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, for me, the biggest culprit that does it is the Storm. They seem to, for some reason, just hang on for an eternity, and still get away with it. But the other opposition, like ourselves, the Warriors, will do it, and they'll get a penalised for it, or another six again, which is the most frustrating part, which has been what's been hitting us for over the last month. But
stop watching, mate. They'll get 4 seconds per player or per hold down regularly.
Yeah,
that's a big difference. So you're talking half a second, and what are you talking? 300 odd tackles a game. That's minutes of extra time that their team get to rest.
Yeah, no, exactly. Do you think that the Warriors actually sort of missed an opportunity with resting Sean Johnson earlier, maybe like a month ago? I know the Titans beat us and they played really well in that game, but they could have used those games to maybe rest him, because he wasn't training with the side, 100%. And obviously we had the Panthers this week, we had the Roosters. We got a big week coming. Big few weeks coming up. Do you think they just missed an opportunity to rest Sean Johnson?
No, I don't think so, mate. I mean, we've got 5 of our halfbacks out now. Well, 5 of our halves out at the moment, including Sean. And it's one of those things that they obviously got told it wasn't going to get any worse by playing on it. It's painful, but a half-fit Sean Johnson, as much as he might frustrate us, is a big step up over a Paul Roach or the likes who we would have had to bring in with. If Chanel was fit, I think they rested him. But with Chanel out, and he's probably not going to be back till next week or after the bye. Yeah, tough times.
Tough times. Yeah. What about Sarah, Richard? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, hindsight's a good thing in these situations, but I would probably say I would have liked to have seen him get rest, because especially after sort of probably the Titans game, the Dragons game, we just weren't really clicking. There's big issues on that left edge as well. Te Maire Martin, John and I, we're obviously both big Te Maire Martin fans, but I don't know whether they're just not training, whether when they're training they're just not going that direction. But it just, every time they sort of go left, it just seems lost. I think before last week I saw a stat, obviously Kossie scored in the corner there, but before last week I think it had been about 4 games since the left edge had scored a try or something like that. So we'd scored a try maybe left of the post or something. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this week, because
SJ was over-calling him.
What was that?
SJ was over-calling Te Maire Martin was one of the big issues that I heard was called out last week, which they obviously really worked on. So, yeah, I agree. I don't blame it all on Te Maire Martin at all.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, speaking of Te Maire Martin, he actually, for this week, he jumps into Sean Johnson's boots at number 7 with Charles Klokstad going into number 6, which shows you just the extensive injury list at the Warriors at the moment and what's going on. So what I want to ask you now is, who would you have, with what we have, what troops we have left, who would you have put in at number 7 and 6? Would you have kept it the same as Webster?
Well, I picked it last night, mate. I picked it. I knew they'd go for Chance. A lot of people talking about Tame Tuolpiki, but I just think he's a little bit small to defend in the front line particularly against the Panthers. But I thought we needed his kicking game, because he's been doing a lot of in-play kicking in New South Wales Cup, and he's got a long boot, really good boot actually. And Te Maire Martin only has a good short game, so we saw on the weekend when he had to kick from inside his own half, he's lucky to get 30, 40 metres. Yeah. So I had an inkling they'd bring Tane, and I just felt he's a little bit too small. So I picked it, Chance at 5'8", playing. Well, I don't really think it matters. Te Maire will do a lot of the ball playing, but he'll play mostly on the left, and Chance will play on the right. So it'll kind of be the opposite. And I don't mind it. I think there is still a chance that Ben Farr comes in for a debut.
Yeah.
I really like him. I'm a big fan of him. He's got a lot of explosive speed, and he's got a little bit of an error in him, but he's got a lot of X factor. So I wouldn't be surprised if he either comes into start or comes into 14. I think there's a lot of doubt over Dylan Walker as well, so I don't think the pain's over yet. Yeah. But yeah, I don't mind Chance there. I don't mind out of all of the options we don't have.
Yeah, that's some good insight there, Will, about that, because I was honestly thinking, why wouldn't they? Because I've heard about Tuapiki playing Queensland Cup, playing in the halves and stuff, and about his kicking game. So I thought that would be a much more better option. Or my number one option actually was, to have Walker come in at 7, but I don't know, I don't know what the extent of his, how his body's coping at the moment. But
we can't afford to drop him out of the middle, even if he is to.
Yeah.
He's not a half, mate.
I think his days in the half are gone. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you there, Zane.
I mean, it may be a smokescreen. Kane may play 6.
Sorry,
I'm a little bit.
Maybe a smokescreen. It may be the other way around. Chan's at fullback, Kane at 6. Webby loves a smokescreen. Sorry to interrupt, mate.
He does.
No, that's all right.
I was just going to say on the Chance thing, I think he's been one of the shining lights the last few weeks at fullback. He's been probably the player. I don't know. You talk a lot about effort, in these games, but it seems like he's really been the one who's tried the hardest. He's been making some pretty massive meters and some games where we're not playing great as well. So yeah, I'm excited if he gets a shot at 6. I'm excited, but also I'd be quite excited to see that smoke screen and see if we can throw off his old mates at the Panthers.
Yeah. Just
on last week's game, just really quickly. Personally, I think the Roosters are premiership favourites now. Would you guys agree, or are you looking elsewhere?
I don't know if it's too early to call it yet, but they're up there. They're up there, but I don't know if it's just too early to call. I mean, it'll be interesting over the next month, because with Cleary being out for the Panthers and etc. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, what do you reckon, Zane?
They're the form team, put it that way. And it's just whether they can maintain it. Man for man, they've got some seriously quality players, particularly in the backs. But I think a fully fit Broncos or fully fit Panthers or fully fit Storms can still beat them. So I don't think it's like a clear black. And I was really surprised by, just like kind of digression here, the Sharks stood up without Hines and beat the Storm in the weekend. So I think they're still in it. But for me, it's probably the Roosters, Panthers, Broncos, and Storm would be the top 4 for me. That, as far as I think, will have the biggest chance. I think the Sharks will probably make the top 4, but don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, any more thoughts you got on the game from the weekend, Zane?
I thought Mitch Barnett, for me, he's been my player of the year, and I think he stepped up again. And the thing I mentioned in my review last night is, if you watch when there's a line break or something's happening, the example would be the kick across for the try after the DWZ ran down Young. Who were the 2 guys closest? Well, the 3. Wade Egan, Ford, and Mitch Barnett. Those 3 outstanding. On Chance, it's difficult because he's playing so well and putting in so much effort, but I feel like he's running a few too many meters in attack. That we saw that chip across that where Crichton scored.
Yeah,
Chance would normally have been there, but you could just see his legs weren't moving as fast as they could, because he's having to carry the workload of the forwards who are fatigued. So, you can't just keep pumping it out at that level on both ends. And the odd occasion his defense does suffer. But if he's not putting in those meters on attack, then what happens? So, those guys are definitely good for me. I thought Rocco Berry was outstanding. I thought Adam Pompey, his combination didn't quite work with Ed Cossey at times because Ed was jamming in, but I thought he did a good job on Manu. He stepped him and left Manu grasping at air. It was great. His kicking was great. So I'm glad he's still in there this week. But Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know. I mean, I feel like for me, it's the fatigue
Yeah.
and lack of confidence is impacting on communication, particularly with the senior players. So you can feel the frustration between some of them, particularly with SJ, like calling out players on the field and so forth. So I worry a little bit what's going on there, but it's the miscommunication with runners where multiple times over the past sort of 6 weeks, we've seen a ball go into the shoulder of a lead runner when they're not expecting it.
Yeah.
So we saw that from Barnett in the weekend. Where's that coming from? The pass from SJ out of dummy half that went, Ed Cossey at full stretch went through his fingertips at almost 2 meters tall. So little things like that it's all that's killing us. If you look at it, like you said, statistically, we're running for as many meters. We're making more tackle breaks. We're missing actually the same amount of tackles. We're making less errors. It's just the places that we're making the errors and not able to defend them, which is a fatigue and a confidence thing. And if you look at last year, I mean, this is a bit of a long-winded answer, but this is my philosophy. The Panthers game is based around a 17-man structure.
Yeah.
Every man has multiple roles. They deliver them with excellence, and they don't make mistakes, and they're resilient, and they wear other teams down, which is exactly what we did last year.
Yeah.
We had 5 or 6, 7 guys play career best years. This year, they're slightly off that, and other teams have stepped up, and that shows you the minute, difference between a team winning every week and a team losing. So it's very difficult to just switch those absolute little minute things.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how it goes. Like we mentioned there, with SJ overcalling people, trying to do a little bit too much, similar to Chance, as your big players do.
Yeah.
Maybe because he's not there, it means we rely a little bit more on our structure. We're not throwing the miracle balls. So, I mean, I hated the first 15 minutes, and if you cut that off and went back and showed it to someone and didn't tell them the score, they'd actually think it was a reasonably solid game. And that half of that's because the Roosters, fell apart. Or they have something like but they have more errors than we did. 12 errors in the end. We had 11.
Yeah.
That's my I can cop a loss when we're playing with heart. It's all I've ever asked.
Yeah, exactly. The Warriors of old would have just crumbled even further, sort of thing. But you're right, and that's why I'm not 100% sold on the Roosters, because they had that electric start to the game. But I think at half time, the coach Trent Robinson was saying to them, like, you guys have just sort of got a bit complacent here, and they're just playing this sort of game, and we actually stepped up, which is good, but still wasn't enough. But I totally agree with you about Mitchell Barnett, because we've had this chat before about the state of origin, with whether Wade Egan or Mitch Barnett was a contender. I still think, definitely Mitch Barnett is a contender for New South Wales. I think he is one of the form props. I think he just does, or he's been playing prop for the Warriors, playing in the second row last on the weekend. But I just think he's got the goods. He can, and the thing is, for what's going to be helpful for New South Wales is if he does get picked, is that he can last the whole 80 minutes. And like you said, I saw that try when Sam Walker kicked across. The two players that were back there, like you said, were Jackson Ford and Mitch Barnett. That's who I saw. So how are they back there, not the backs? So they've got some motors on them. So it's good to see. But no, you're right. I think the lack of confidence is exactly what it is, because it's when you got a lack of confidence, things just don't tend to go right for some reason. I don't know why. I can't tell you why they don't go right, but for some reason things just don't go right. And I think that's what's going on right now. And I guess just letting you know on this, so we have a bit of a rant sometimes about bandwagoners. Well, I do anyway. I do. And I'm just seeing on social media a lot across the Warriors channels, a lot of people just having a go at Webster as well, and saying like this and that. But I still think he's doing a great job. I just think he's just it's just a slump, and I still think that with the congested table at the moment, we're only 4 points out of the top 8. That's just 2 wins. There's still a lot to play for. Still a lot to play for.
I mean, I used to be one of those guys who get really angry and emotional.
Yeah.
But then during COVID, I just sat and looked at the shit that the players were getting, personal attacks.
Yeah.
During COVID, I had to go to Japan in the middle of that and spent over a month in quarantine, 2 weeks either side, plus, I think I was there for about 5 weeks. So I was away from my family for 3 months. they're all locked inside and stuff. And it was a shit time. And those guys are away for 2 years. So that's what prompted me to do this social media thing, is to try and put a bit more balance, particularly like with the player interviews, getting people to realize that they're human.
Yeah.
But then what's the sort of the side benefit of this is starting to do the game reviews and previews, is you have to watch with a lot more detail.
Yeah.
To stop yourself looking like a clown, making silly calls, like picking Chance to go at 5'8" yesterday. But it's just through watching the second time, you slow games down, and you go back and watch how things unfold. And I can really appreciate what's going on. And that's why I look at people bagging people like Webster and the way he's coaching. If you look at this, he's trying to implement what the Panthers have done and won 4 premierships with. But how long did it take for that to happen? It was probably 3 or 4 years of pain before they got to the point where that game plan had been cascaded through the whole organization, through the juniors. So it is next man up. And you look at the Mats guys, they played Webby ball and just killed it in the final. They played the way the senior guys are trying to play. So they're under 17s or whatever. So 3 or 4 years time, by the time they get there, they've played this game plan. So we've got to take a long-term view on this. And I know there's no way Robinson's going to fire Webby, and I know there's no way they're going to. So he's got the confidence to embed this. Yeah. And it's still not even his squad, right? How many of these guys has he actually recruited? So that's all I say, is to people out there who question it, we don't know what's going on. We see like Josh Curran, for example, everyone wishes he never left. We don't see that he's the last guy to turn up for training, the first guy to leave, the guy who's not putting in the effort and not meeting Webby's standards.
Yeah.
We just judge that he's a great player on the field, but if you're trying to build a culture on excellence, you can't allow people like him or Viliami Vaila to stay at the club when they both don't put in the same effort as everyone else. Yeah. So that we just have to accept we'll never know. And I love that Webby doesn't tell us a lot of stuff that they don't leak. I'm bandwagoners, mate. It's not just them, it's long-term fans as well. It's just if you're going to be critical, look at it and be analytical before you just call people out.
Exactly. No, I totally agree with you. I mean, if you look at the injury list, you got Rocco Berry's out apparently with a hand injury to hopefully back in round 14. Kurt Catewell with his calf, round 14. Hopefully Channel Harris Davida, round 12. Johnson, hopefully with a pectoral injury, round 13. Freddie Lussick with concussion, round 12. That was a bit of a nasty one. From Freddie there. Luke Metcalf late in the season. Yokore, foot, round 13. And Roger, round 17 with a hamstring. So he's got a depleted squad. And
it's nine of our starting 17 if you pick your best team.
Yeah.
That doesn't even include Lussick.
Yeah.
And that doesn't include Dimitri Sifikula. That doesn't include Luke Hansen. All of these guys in the cup team who could have been in contention. Luke Hansen, if he was healthy, maybe he gets a run. But he's been out for about 3 weeks now. Ali Lauatoa only come back in last week. Yeah. There's probably 20 guys out of our top, 45 guys are out.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, you're mentioning Ben Farr before. I was thinking earlier today, will this be, like on the Friday, when before the deadline hits, will there be like a sudden switch, which he has done over the last few weeks as well, in bringing them in. I mean, they've got nothing to lose, to be honest, but I do think that the kicking game part where you talked about Tamara Martin, that was something that I was concerned about as well. So, Did
he surprise you guys though with those couple little chips? They were really good.
Those were good from SJ. Yeah, that was good, and they needed. And then one more question before we move on to the upcoming game is: do you think that the Warriors have been playing too traditional? I mean, I know Webster has got like a. He's got a structure, like you were saying before and stuff, and I actually like his structure as well. But has the word sort of going around, rugby league channels as well, including NRL 360 things like that. Is are they playing a game where the opposition just know what's going to happen? Do you think that's what's going on?
They knew what was going to happen all last year, mate.
Yeah,
and look what we did to most of them. So. We don't have the individual X factor like the Reece Walshes, the Youngs of this world to throw the ball around like that with confidence. Yeah. teams know what's coming, but it's our execution that's let us down. I mean, you look at the tries we scored against the likes of the Storm.
Yeah.
Great defense, but they couldn't stop us. It's our execution that's letting us down.
Yeah.
The game plan of kicking it down into that corner and fatiguing people out worked all last year, but we're giving away the errors and the piggyback penalties. So it's not the game plan that's wrong; it's the execution.
Yeah. No. Good call. Well, let's just move on from that game because it's it's still a bit of a dagger in the heart for that one. But let's get into the next game, which is it's going to be an interesting one because we've got the lineup. We're playing the Panthers, who are also depleted. When I say depleted, in missing their star halfback, but they've still got an awesome lineup, don't they? And they're still going to be dangerous. And how do you think this team, this revamped side, is going to be able to handle Penrith, even with a Nathan Cleary-less Penrith?
All I can say is hold your breath because my intel tells me 2 players have got to drop out of this lineup that they haven't put in.
Yeah,
I won't tell you who they are because Panthers are head up, but it won't be the seven. So there'll be a couple of Dylan Walker's one you can guess, but I won't. Don't ask me who the other one is because I don't want people to know. But it's a big one. So you'll see some other shifts again, but again, it gives guys a chance. Because I do think Dylan Walker's ankle he's been struggling with that since last season. Yeah. And he's injured it week on week. And I don't know if it was the same one that he injured on the weekend, but I think, you'll see two extra additions coming into this lineup. Yeah. And I reckon one will be Ben Farr.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking earlier today, as I mentioned. And I think it's time he has a shot. I mean, what better time to give him a shot because we're depleted and see what he can do and just give him a run, see what he can do.
It kind of bites me. Look, no disrespect to Roach. I think if Wade Egan's a question, he has to come in because he's the better hooker out of the two. Yeah. But Ben Farr, he's fast. He's got X factor. He's got great defense. He hits like Chanel, and he covers every position in the backs and hooker. At a pitch, he grew up playing hooker. But yeah, I mean, you look at they're on their third. Halfback, right? Luai's playing halfback because what's the other guy's name? Got injured and cut really bad last week. So
yes, I know you're talking about. Yeah, no.
So that not just Cleary, but their second string halfback's gone as well. But you look at that backline, man. That's why I don't think East are necessarily favourite, man. You look at those centres and those wings as well.
Yeah,
utter machine. So, but it's often when you see when completely written off. Everyone will underestimate us. Who knows? There've been miracles happen, but shit, if we put in a similar effort as to what we had last weekend and we didn't concede more than 30, it doesn't help us. It takes us one step closer to missing the 8, but I'd consider that a pretty good effort.
Yeah. No, I mean, I personally think that, on paper, it looks like, this is just going to be very, 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 very devastating, but I can't help but feel there's going to be a shift change in this game with depleted. So they're just going to, a lot of players are going to have to rise up, with so many troops down and stuff. And I think this is the game that's going to happen. But well, let's just hope, for all those bandwagoners' sake, and all those who love the Warriors as well, that we just put in, like you said, just putting in that effort. As long as they put that effort in and show that they can, they're in the game, then we'll still keep it going, still keep supporting them for
resilience on defense and a couple of nicely constructed tries, and I go away. Happy but not upset. I don't want to see us start like we did against East. I don't want to see those flat periods. I mean, the Panthers can construct some very clinical tries. They'll score against anyone. So I don't expect us to not let in tries, but fight and make them really earn them.
Yeah. Well, let's just go to some good news coming out of Warriors HQ. Wade Egan extending for another 2 years. How do you feel about? I mean, I always thought he would stay on. I actually thought he would stay on, with the Warriors, but it's good to see it have actually, him inking the contract for another 2 years. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, his younger brother signing earlier on this year was a good sign, right? You wouldn't have imagined he'd come over if Wade wasn't planning to extend. But yeah, it was something that my mates and I have been chatting out a little bit. Well, this one's dragging on a bit. Plenty of clubs will be making him an offer, but going through the lineup of the players we've got signed through to 2026 now, it's starting to look reasonably solid. There's some good players in there. We've still got a pretty similar squad for next year, but you can build a squad around a player like him. I think injuries, particularly his head aside, he's still got plenty of good footy ahead of him.
That's the worrying thing about Wade Egan, isn't it? You see him on the field, something just tends to happen. If it's not his head, it's something else, isn't it? That's always the hard part about watching Wade Egan. But he's a class act, and hopefully, he'll just can put some performances together to put him in contention for New South Wales. But anyway, let's just move on from that. We have a segment here, Zane. With the Wally M's. We call it the Wally M's because of the fact that we just think the Daily M's are rigged. So this is Richard's segment. So Richard, do you want to take us away from there?
Absolutely, yeah. So just systems the same as the normal Daily M's, the 3-2-1, but we'll each give our points out for the Warriors players for the week. So Zane, I don't know how much prep you've got, so I can start us off.
You do that, right? I've got my clear 3, but I'm just sitting there contemplating who I'm going to give the 2 and 1 to.
Yeah, it's always interesting because I think John and I probably look for different things. I think we find we're often quite different, which maybe it means that the Delians aren't such a rort after all. But I got Fanua Blake for my 3 points. Just his usual self. I mean, he's been the picture of consistency this year. 164 meters of 20 runs, another try. I think he's joint top try scorer for the Warriors this year, which is was good when a front row was doing that. I got Mitch Barnett too. Those two together, I think it's the one place that we're like the fact those two haven't been injured yet is huge. We're very touch wood, fingers crossed. And yeah, I mean Barnett definitely up for New South Wales contention, but they still managed to sort of put in big minutes. And I actually give them a third, my 1 point to Tom Ale. I thought didn't actually get to much time. I think it was only about 20 minutes of that. And it's a bit baffling that he hasn't been getting more minutes. So I think he's great. And I mean, he's definitely one that you talk about players that we've got signed for the next few years. He's one that we'll have to hold on to, and he'll be learning a lot from Barnett and Fanua Blake at the moment. And obviously next year when Fisher Harris comes. So yeah, I've gone with the big boys for my 3 points for my 3 players.
You want to go next,
John, you want to go next?
Yeah, I reckon I'm ready. I'm going to go Mitch Barnett for 3. I think he's often overshadowed by Adam Fanua Blake, who generally gets more meters. But Barnett, his post-contact meters for his size, he's not the biggest prop in the comp, and his tackling and just the work across the ground. Since you've given AFB them, I'm going to give Jackson Ford 2 points. I think you can't question his work ethic. He's really worked hard on reducing the errors and the penalties. And I think the couple of penalties he's given away in the past couple of weeks are just a complete rort. Yeah, look, and I was going to give a notable mention to Tom Ale and Jazz, because I think I'll go Rocco Berry for my 1 point, but Jazz and Tom Ale both had great games. I thought it was Tom Ale's best game of the season against the likes of Lenu. I thought Jazz coming back off a hammy when you haven't been able to run for a month just showed the energy and the heart he can deliver, and that's really been missing from our bench. And I think that's another key point we can't forget is we've missed the line speed with the young guys in the team. The line speed of Jazz combined with Dylan Walker and Chanel Harris-Davida late in games, the turn momentum has really been missed. So I'm going to give it to those guys.
Fair enough. Well, I think we're all on similar pages here because I've got my 3 for Mitch Barnett as well. Obviously, we just gave him a huge rep just before. And I just think he's just exactly everything you're saying. I think, for example, the post-contact meters as well as his defense. And I just think it's just the fact that he just puts in 100%, throughout the whole 80 minutes is a reason why we're still sticking into games, sort of thing. So Mitch Running for me, I actually gave 2 for Fanua Blake. I didn't think he had his best game, but I still think he did enough to keep us help us in there. He always seems to get those post-contact meters as well. Scored that try, so I'll give it to him. And my number 1 was for Jackson Ford. I was tossing up between Dylan Walker and Jackson Ford, to be honest, but I'll give it to Jackson Ford just as well. Just sometimes doesn't always do the flashy stuff, but gets what he does his job and stuff and does it well. So yeah, I think Jackson Ford for me 1 point. So those are
Just
my.
on that, man, he hasn't given away an error in 3 weeks now. Where's everyone coming out? All the people who are bagging him saying he's complete shit because he's full of errors.
Yeah.
And the one penalty he got was that obstruction run that was kind of, compared to, did you see that one I put up of Kerry?
Yeah.
Pushing forward off the ball.
Yes.
So,
I saw that.
NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he, what was it he tackled at there? I think it was something like 41 tackles at 89% for Jackson Ford. He's a machine.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I totally agree with that. I mean, and just going on, we're talking about, being bagged and stuff. I mean, I think, another thing is bagging the officiating. And I think the officiating is bad across the whole NRL, not just our games. But I think we just can't continue to just keep using that excuse because we were bad just ourselves. Having all those missed tackles in the last 3 or 4 games, those stats speak for themselves.
We played the ref out of the game in the first 15 minutes, just the wrong way.
Exactly. Oh, so that's how Wally M's, mate. That's how we do it here.
Who's eating? Have we gone behind closed doors yet?
No, not yet. I think we'll sit there at round 20 maybe. After tonight, Fanua Blake. Fanua Blake's first and Barnett second, and then Charms. But
clearly
Jackson Ford,
way up.
Yeah. I think Wade Egan, those 2 games that he played, I think he got 6 points both weeks, and then he hasn't. He was amazing when he first came back, but he's just been he's taken a bit of a back step, and some of these games we haven't been doing great. But I mean, I think between Fanua Blake,
how many points has SJ got? How many points has SJ got?
He did all right early in the season. I think he's on about 7 or 8. I haven't actually got the list. I've only just got the top 4 in front of me. I
did this last year.
I think he's got about. Yeah.
I put this out across all my social media this season, and SJ won that by probably the margin was so huge.
Yeah.
Every week he was in the points, and most weeks he got the 3 points from everybody. But how often would you have in the top 3 this year? Unfortunately, I mean, he's not in the bottom 3, that's for sure. But that's the difference. One of the big differences. Hey, I want to ask you guys a quick question before you kick me off. There's something I've been pondering for a couple of weeks, chatted to people offline about, and watching the game the weekend really reinforced it for me. Ed Cossey as an impact second rower off the bench.
Ooh, that's a good question. Do you want to take? I'll go after you, Richard. Do you want to go first, or I'll take it up?
Oh yeah, no, I don't mind it. Eh? Give it a go. He can obviously still cover. He can provide some cover in the back line if he needs to. But he's got the size for it. He's got the ball skills. He almost sort of like a Ali Katoa sort of build, So if you get him running some nice lines, I wouldn't be if I saw that in the team list next week, especially with the injuries we've got. While Catewell's still out as well, and the fact that we're not really playing a specialist second row on the bench, are we? So, go for it. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, the Warriors did it with Ewan Aiken, right? When he's a centre, but they put him into the second row, and I think he's still doing it for the Dolphins at times. Going from centre.
I look at it that he's probably the biggest guy in the club, maybe bar Tohu. He's played centre most of his time growing up, so he's got the ball skills, and that's just basically one outside where he'd be playing. I don't know if you go straight into NRL, but it's something I'd look at in Cup, because I just felt in the weekend it showed that the days of the real big heavy winger have gone.
Yeah.
They're all tall, lean, but
Lanky.
really fast.
Yeah.
And just that speed on the outside, and it's frustrating because I think he's a really good player. But I've talked to a bunch of guys I've done podcasts with last season that I felt like we still missed that Ola Kalotu kind of real impact second row. Marata could be that guy, obviously off the bench, but I'd like to see him go into the prop role like Spencer Leniu. And I think having a guy like Ed Cossey to come on with 20 minutes to go, running at tired edges and halves, because he runs a lot harder than the likes of Adam Pompey does. Pompey's got more of the step, but Ed's a big body. So I just thought a couple of Haki Warriors men itself. I was curious what you thought about that.
No, that's actually, I've actually never ever pondered that, because I usually ponder things like this, and I've never thought that. But that's actually, when I think about it, actually that could work. You said he's got the size. Obviously, he'll have the tank to be able to last in the field as well. So why wouldn't you put him there? Especially let me throw one at you then, because this is a really, really doozy one. But because I know that they use Tohu, for example, as that second ball, play carried there, when Johnson to Tohu. Would you think maybe put if you, because Tamara Martin's playing 7, would you put Tohu at 6 especially if you're not gonna use him as a kicker? Or if Son Johnson was still playing.
Yeah, I've had a few questions about that one. I think it came up quite a bit on TikTok. Look, I think he's probably about 5 years past that. And we need him in that current role. Yeah. If you know what I mean. So I mean, it's something in a game, at a stretch, you could probably try it. I mean, I jokingly said maybe play Adam there. I'm sure he'll make a couple of line breaks. But I mean, it just shows him that the depth of the hole we're in as far as halves go, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe Gary needs to get on a plane early.
Another thought that I had today is could they actually get him in early? I mean, he's not playing New South Wales Cup, is he? He's playing SG Ball.
I don't know if he's playing flag or whatever, but they won't let him go. I'd imagine just as same as us when they get to their 4th or 5th choice, it'd be a pretty handy one to have there for them heading into the finals. It's definitely a challenging one, but Smokey for the week for me is Ben Farr, hopefully getting his chance and him actually having a breakout game, and that we just haven't seen that since Ali Lauatoa, right? I thought Dimitrik had a solid debut, but Ali, Croker's 300th game to just dominate him, and to get that hammy at the end of the game, so he couldn't get another game the next week, and lost a bit of sort of a gap there back to Rocco. Rocco might struggle to get back in if Ali blows up this week. Ben Farr, and I'd also like to see Tane go nuts.
Well, if they get that opportunity, they're going to take it, right?
Tane will be full of confidence. He's been playing some bloody good footy in the New South Wales Cup, and was fine. Was really good when he 2 or 3 games before Jans came back as well. So he'll know he's got a lot to play for. So
I mean,
it'll be a tough watch. It could be a tough watch, but no, they've got nothing to lose, so we'll see.
You guys like the Panthers?
Maybe. I don't like the Panthers. I went to the grand final last year, and I was supporting the Panthers, but that was more because I don't like the Broncos. But I got up. I think I annoyed a few Broncos fans while I had my Warriors jersey on, of course. But I think I annoyed a few Broncos fans. I was, but there was a couple of Panthers fans behind me, and they were about to leave. And I said, "No, don't." I was like, "You're obviously not a Warriors fan, it's a crazy game, crazy things can happen." And then the Panthers came back. I mean, there's parts of the game that are unlikable, like your Jerome Luais, and they're a bit flashy and all that, they're a bit showy offy. But I mean, Cleary's an amazing player. Fisher Harris and Leota up the middle. I mean, Isaiah, I don't think you can really dislike sort of players like that, can you? So, and I'm a New South Wales fan, so there's a lot of New South Wales in there.
They're my second team. I mean, people call it arrogance, but I just feel like you've got this group of kids who've come through all of the grades together, worked their ass off, and imagine that your best mates from teenage years, you're playing in the NRL together, and you pass it to one of your best mates and he passes it to another one, you get a try. You're going to do that. It's just, I've heard so many good things about what Jerome Lua is actually really like in real life. Apparently such a humble guy. He's selfless. So I'd honestly say they're my second favourite team. So, I'd rather lose to them than to the bloody Broncos.
I agree. I mean,
Yes.
they're actually my second favorite team as well. Before the Warriors came in '95, they were my team. I first watched them in '90 when they played the grand final against the Raiders and they lost.
Bandwagon, bro. Bandwagon.
Yeah. That was a bandwagon from the '90s, and then they won it the next year in '91. But they had an amazing team, with Greg Alexander. I think Fittler was in there as well, I think, at that time.
Yeah, Mark Geyer, and there's some great players.
No, they had a great team, and that was my team before the Warriors came along. But the team that, as we've talked about this, the teams that we love to hate, and for me, it's the Broncos and the Storm. Yeah, and actually, for me, the Sharks. For some reason, I just don't like the Sharks. There's nothing flashy about them. They don't do nothing to.
I don't hate them. They just bore me.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. There's something about them that just annoys me, and a part of it maybe because of Nico Hines getting, all those daily end points. And I mean, he didn't play in the weekend, neither did Kalen Ponga, but they probably both got 6 daily end points anyway for those games that they weren't playing in. But yeah, no, those are my teams I hate. But hey, look, we'll try to wrap this up a bit. So we always end up in the episode with going for our tips for the week for the game. So we'll go through the week. So Richard, do you want to take over this?
Yeah, sure thing. I'll just quickly go through last week. We got 6 each. So we both picked the Dolphins, Panthers, Broncos, and Roosters. I picked the Knights, the Sharks, and you picked the Dragons and the Titans. So a few upsets last week, but we both picked up 6 points, and I'm still leading the comp by 6. So we've got Friday night. Friday night, isn't it? Yeah, because Magic round. So two games Friday. Raiders, Bulldogs to kick us off. Not too much to say about this. Raiders coming off the bye after their ridiculous comeback against the Seagulls 2 weeks ago, and the Bulldogs playing some good footy. Personally, I'm gonna back my Raiders. They're probably my second favourite team, I think, and they're hit and miss. I'll admit that, but I'll back the Green Machine. Zane,
I'll go the milk. I'll go the milk too. They surprised me. Another one, I thought they'd be screwed without Fogarty, but just something about them. I think they'll grind this out.
Yeah, I'll go Dogs. Heard Josh Curran's turning up to training early. Obviously, if he didn't, who knows what they run the gauntlet. Apparently, like some of those other ex-players going through. So, and I'm going. Yeah, exactly. I'll go the Dogs. I'll go the Dogs for this one.
Good culture. Seagulls late Friday night game. Once again, the Broncos get a late Friday night game, and surprise, playing Magic round at home, and it's an away game. But it's hard to bet against them. The Seagulls seem to be on a bit of a downward slope at the moment. The Broncos, even without Reynolds, I mean, it was the Eels, but I thought that still looked pretty good. And Walsh was back to his best, so I'll back the Broncos.
Yeah,
Zane?
I have to agree. Yeah, I have to agree, mate. I'd love the Eagles to do it, but unfortunately not. They're turbo list, so that's the end of them.
Yep, same with me. I mean, I don't like the Broncos, but just being realistic, I think they'll take it. Yeah.
Match of the round, got to be Titans Knights. Everyone will be hanging out for this one. I mean, I don't have too much to say about this game, but I'm going to side with eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Yeah, the Titans. Do another win. Dane?
I'm going to the Titans, mate. They got too much speed out wide. I think the Knights are good for a grind, particularly in the wet, but it's looking like it's final weekend up there.
Yeah.
And saying, let me double check. Yeah.
And Ponga's still out, eh? Is he? I should have checked.
Yeah, I think.
I'm going to see. AJ Brimson's out, is he?
Oh, that's a big factor if he is.
Oh, that's huge.
Kenya Khan, Pereira, Kelly.
Oh, you're right. He is out. Yeah, he is out.
Oh, yeah, Foreign's out as well. Actually, let me change that. I'm going the Knights.
Done the research.
Yeah,
that's
no,
too big out.
It is. Where the hell?
Still no
I'm not
problem
allowed
though.
to
I'm
put
gonna stick
Brimson.
with the Titans.
Yeah, Smith Shields, Foreign, Sami, and Brimson's a big. It's big outs now. I'll go the
It's a lot of
Knights.
outs. Yeah, it's a lot of outs.
Knights.
Yeah. No,
John, who you got?
I'm gonna stick with the Titans. I mean, I just think they've been playing. So I know that, like, you know, AJ Brimson being out and Kieran Foran being out is a big factor because they've been some of the keys to why they've been playing so well over the last couple of weeks. But I'm still going to go on a. Yeah, no, I'm going with Titans. I'll go with Titans this week.
Sharks Roosters next up, 5:30. Sharkies big boost with Nico Hines back and Blake Brayley. So Blake Brayley goes back to hooker. There's a bit of a shuffle around, but yeah, they did really well against the Storm last week. And the Roosters, no Joey Manu, Brendan Smith returns, and Connor Watson has been, well, he's one of the unsung heroes of that team. He's been playing some great footy. He's back to the bench. So it's just probably, this is shaping to be a great game, actually. I think the Roosters, what we saw last week, they're both going to have too much. They're the most exciting team to watch, so I'm gonna go with them. Zane?
No Manu's a big out.
Yeah.
Man, I hate to pick them, but I reckon the Sharks might get this.
No.
Yeah, Hines back. That said, man, they've got really short backs. You might find that they struggle a little bit under the ball, high balls, but no, I'll go the Sharks. I mean, if anything, to put the mock on them.
Yep. Fair enough. Fair enough, but I'll go with the Chooks this week. Especially if they can, replicate that sort of start with the Warriors. So yeah.
Next is the match
there's still got
guys.
Rabbitohs Cowboys. God, there's some real shockers this week actually, but that could be all right. But yeah, the Rabbitohs.
They'll be so bad about us, mate. So we need to be careful.
Yeah, true.
They're probably my least favorite. Them and the Broncos are my two least favorite teams in the comp, and even I'm not enjoying this. Like they're saying something.
I don't enjoy these
Cowboys.
Playing that shit for their fans.
Yeah.
I feel sorry
We've been there before. We've been there before. Yeah, I mean, there's not too much. Johnston's back for the Rabbitohs, so that's a big one. And Tuolagi and Jordan McLean both back for the Cowboys. Cowboys, what was it? They were down 20-0 last week. They came back 18-0. A strong finish. I think they'll bring that momentum in and deal to the Cowboys. Deal to the Rabbitohs. Zane, who you got?
I concur, mate. I think if they lose the Mugs, the Queensland home team. I don't feel for the team because I don't like a lot of the players, but I do feel for the fans. A club with a strong history. On paper, they've got a great team playing like mud. So I mean, that's why I'm confident we won't get the spoon.
Yeah, it's true. I'm going with the Cowboys as well.
We'll be back.
Yep. No, we will.
We'll be back. The Wires will be back, but maybe. There you go. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's all right. That's all right. I was just going to say I've got the Cowboys as well. I think they're kind of like on the same sort of page as the Warriors. Like they've got a lineup that's you look on paper, it looks amazing. You got Tom Dearden. He's awesome. I like Tom Dearden. You got Chad Townsend, all the experience, and they've got Jeremiah Nonai, they've got different name. They've got a great lineup on paper, but they're just not executing. On the field. So I just think it's kind of like the Warriors sort of this while they're just in a bit of a slump. But I'll go with the Cowboys for this one against Souths. Yeah. Here's the
next up match of the round. The Wars versus the Pars.
You can't tell me either of you guys are wearing the Warriors shirt and going to pick the Pars, are you?
I'll pick the Pars, but
you-
we normally do a margin on these games, so I'll go Pars 1 to 12.
what a cop out.
Wash your mouth out.
Yeah.
I know it hurts. It hurts to say it, but we want to give some valuable insight for the listeners. Yeah, just with the outs, it'll be a bit hard. But yeah, I'm looking forward to just seeing what some of these young guys can do. We've obviously talked about some of these smoke screens that could be around the corner. But yeah, Panthers, even without Cleary, I presume Schneider's playing 7. He's you go, sorry.
Jokingly said to a mate, same game multi, Panthers to win both halves, to win by 12 and plus. Tau and what's his name? The other winger there. Taruva. For any time try score, you're probably getting $5 from that.
Yeah.
Bet the house on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm going the Warriors.
Maybe some big.
Yeah, I'm going the Warriors.
Yeah.
Don't call me the Powerholic.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm the same. I'm gonna go with the Warriors on this one, 1 to 12. I think.
Jimmy, yeah, good.
Yeah. No, you know me. I normally bet Warriors all the time. It was only last week where I just thought it was just something wasn't right, but last week was the only time just so you know, Zane, last week was the only time I had gone against the Warriors.
So that's why the big fella's leading, is it? He's guarding the opposition.
Yeah,
every week.
exactly.
Ruthless.
Nah, but I'll go with the Warriors 1 to 12 this week. I'm just as I said mentioned earlier. Yeah.
You got to throw the odd random in there to try and make up points.
Yeah, exactly.
And 2 more games. Storm Eels. Just quickly check, but I think that Hughes is still not playing. And obviously, Peppenhausen's still out, but they've got their exciting Sualavi Faialago playing fullback. Storm lost to the Sharks last week, but I can't see this Eels team, especially with no Moses and no Gutherson, being able to pull off an upset. So happy to back the Storm pretty confidently.
Yeah, mate. How good was Wishart in the weekend? Wishart was out.
Yeah, he was fantastic. Yeah.
First game I saw him play, bloody Storm, man. They just pick these kids up. Yeah. And he'll just potter around playing like 14, and next minute he'll like go to another club and win Dally M as halfback in a couple of seasons at this rate. Storms all day.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Especially with Munster not playing his best, but Wishart stepped up, and even Munster had that beautiful touch to put I think Remus Smith through a gap. How good they just run those decoy runners so well, eh? You watch the Warriors do it, and they're always forcing obstruction, but the Storm just it's a joy to watch, eh? We likes of Eli Katoa and
I'd never say that about anything
just
to do with the Storm, but yeah, I know what you mean. I hate them, mate. Them or the Broncos. I'd struggle to pick which one I dislike more.
Yeah, fair enough.
You gotta. Yeah. No, they just, especially what they did to us a few years ago as well. Never forgive. And an absolute beauty to finish us off. Tigers, Dolphins. Dolphins just keep on rolling. It doesn't matter about these injuries, and they've got a few big names back. Particularly Tabuai Fidel back this week. Herbie Farnworth is back last week, a week before, and that Isaiah Katoa, that halfback, he looks like a real one to watch for the future. So I am pretty happy to blow my fins up, especially in Queensland. They'll have plenty of fans there, I'm sure.
I'm going to pick the Finns, but I reckon there's a very good chance the Tigers might get this. Just something about it. They've got a pretty good lineup. It's close to their strongest lineup. Yeah, I don't know, mate. Benji might pull a thing out, but I'm going to go the Finns. I don't mind the Finns as far as Queensland teams go.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm going with the Finns as well. It's they're an interesting side because they're a team that don't get talked about a lot. In terms of they're not contenders or anything, but they keep getting the W's. They keep getting the wins. So maybe that's probably personally I think they might actually like that they're not getting talked about a lot. Just let them just do their thing, train and get on the field, do their job, and leave, and keep the limelight off them. Maybe they like that, but because it's working, because they don't get a lot of attention compared to the other clubs, and they're doing well. So, but they're not being talked about a lot.
That's why Uncle Wayne started talking shit about going to the Souths a couple of weeks ago. So everyone's focusing on that and not worrying about what his team's doing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
He's a wise man.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty. I think most Kiwis seem to be pretty in on the Finns. Even last year when they had that great start against the Roosters, and then So I don't know what they're paying them at the 8 at the moment, but that might be a little not worth a little futures bet if there's any punters out there.
Yeah, I struggle with that just because the injuries for them could hit real quick with the lack of depth. It's tough. Yeah.
Well, it sort of already has. I think like 3 weeks ago I looked and they had like 10 players out. Like, that was the likes of Kelfusi and Tamuai Whanau, and they were still getting some wins. So
that's a problem this year.
They found that young. Yeah. Have they managed to find a spot for Trey Fuller? No, they haven't, I don't think.
No. Yeah. I don't know. It's tough to see who will actually get that 8th spot, but I don't know. I struggle to think that they've got the forward pack maybe to match it with the real fast teams. But yeah, they're a grinder.
Yeah. Well, they're doing something right? They're doing something right because they're getting
something better than us.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully not next week though. Turnaround game when we get a 50-point win.
No. Things are going to turn around, boys. I'm feeling it. I'm still supporting the Wars. I'm thinking all the way Wars since '95, and I honestly am not just saying this just because I support them, but I still believe that we can still do this. I still believe we can still do it. We have the players. It just takes one game of confidence to turn things around. One game, and even if we lose, for example, on the weekend, as long as they do it well. When I say losing well, I don't know if that's the right word to use, but if they do it well. Good defense. They keep in the game, and I think just from there on in they can just build on that confidence. They knowing they can do it. So that's. I'm still thinking the Wars will get there, but I don't know if that's what everyone else is thinking because I'm seeing a lot of comments saying otherwise. But yeah, no, I'm still thinking it.
Bandwagoners, bro. Bandwagoners.
Yeah, bandwagoners.
Now, look.
Get out of here.
I've been saying for ages we're going to struggle to win before the bye. But after that, hopefully next week we get Chanel and Marata back, which is 2 big ins. Hopefully we don't get any more sustained injuries. Rocco Berry back after the bye, hopefully as well. Sean shouldn't be too far behind that. So we haven't had our best team on the ground yet this season. So watch out when it finally happens, if it does.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's all we have for tonight. Zane, thank you so much for joining us. It's been awesome. Love your insight. Last time we spoke, in Kapiti, you had a lot of insight about the season and stuff. I really loved it. That's why I wanted to bring you on.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No. Awesome stuff. And if you're listening tonight, if you're watching this right now, go to Zane's page. What's your page? The Warriorholic, right? Pretty much at the Warriorholic on anything you can imagine, other than Facebook on there under Zane Matsumoto, which is my stage name. But hit me on YouTube. I need about another 3 followers to hit the 2K. I had a bit of a runoff between Insta and YouTube, and Insta won today. Hit the 2,000 mark on there. So give me a like on there, and on TikTok we're charging towards 10,000. Let's go. Nice. Give these fellas a like too. Have you got any merch out there for your 2,000th YouTube follower? Yeah, I love the t-shirt. Point, actually. Yeah, very good point. It might be a bit big for you, but yeah. Let's go back. The Warriors are going to win all in. Always. Yeah, awesome. That's right. Well, thanks everyone. Yep, thanks everyone. Hope you really enjoyed this episode. Thank you for your support. We appreciate it. Keep spreading the news about us. Don't forget to subscribe. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Warriorholic as well. And thanks again for joining us on Couch Coaches. Good night, everyone. Cheers, guys. Let's go.